statement that has come from the ISRO chief. Remember now, they say that sometimes not getting what you want is God's blessing. In India's quest for space exploration, every time we try to move further and achieve higher, there are some who have a problem. From New York Times putting out that cartoon dissing India's Gaganyaan mission back in 2014 to 2023, where the ISRO chairperson S. Somnath revealed that no country is willing to help India out to build the life support system in Gaganyaan. Now, India has been time and again discouraged by the world, but do we get discouraged? Clearly not. ISRO is now building an indigenous life support system for its first manned mission, Gaganyaan. Basically, the Indian Space Research Organization will independently develop what is called the Environmental Control and Life Support System, or the ECLSS, for the Gaganyan mission. This ECLSS manages the air quality and the water supply that is essential for the survival of astronauts in the challenging environment of space. Through meticulous mechanisms like activated charcoal beds, catalytic oxidizers, and molecular sieves, the system regulates cabin air quality, basically ensuring a breathable atmosphere for the crew members. The oxygen generation system in it separates water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen gas, ensuring a constant oxygen supply for breathing while generating moisture. Now, if ISRO is able to do this, it will be a massive achievement for the Indian space narrative. But what are the challenges it faces? What does it mean for the Indian space narrative if ISRO is building its own life support system for Gaganyaan? Let's get more perspective on this. I'm joined by Manish Purohit. He's a former ISRO scientist, and Pranav Sharma continues to be with us. He's an astronomer and space historian. Manish, I'd like to start with you. You know, just the fact that India is now building its own life support system, it's basically a DIY project for the Indian Space Research Organization. How capable are we to build it? What are its challenges? Where does our strength lie? How does it all work?
Actually, this is kind of a situation that we have already faced when we are talking about the cryo engine development. That time also, we faced some issues while getting our hands on the technology, but then that was kind of a blessing in disguise because we did it on our own, and right now we have a very successfully flying cryo engine with us on LVM-3, the launch vehicle that took the Chandrayaan-3. So I will see this as a challenge, but then this challenge is going to give us very fruitful results. See, this technology, if we talk about USA or erstwhile Soviets, USSR, if we talk about them, they have done a lot of work on this particular technology in 1960s when the space war started during the Cold War era. So they have everything, and getting our hands on the technology, because we were believing that the fraternity will come forward and they will help us in developing these technologies because they are very crucial for the human space flight programs, because the life of the astronauts or the cosmonauts depends on it. If we are sending someone in this space, in that hostile environment, very harsh environment of the space, so we have to have this thing. So India was expecting that hands will come forward for the contribution, but fine, if it is not coming, so we can look at it in another perspective that as we have done it for the Chandrayaan-2 to Chandrayaan-3, similarly we will do it for ECLSS. Now I like to bring some important aspects about ECLSS in the discussion. That is, what right now India needs is not the bigger picture of the ECLSS. Right now we need for the crew cabin. Right now, for the Gaganyaan mission, we will be starting with what they have done for the Mercury, Gemini, what NASA has done for Mercury and Gemini missions, what Soviets have done for Vostok and Vauxhall, and their Soyuz missions. Like what they did in 1960s, that's what is required right now. What SpaceX is doing for their Dragon capsule, which takes the astronaut into the orbit in the space. And the bigger ECLS system will be required for our Bharatiya Antariksh Station, and we still have time for that because that is something that is planned for 2035. But right now, on our hands right now is Gaganyaan. For that, we'll need the crew cabin ECLS system. Their requirements are still very stringent. The space standards that have been set up are very, very stringent. We have to take care of everything. So what happens in ECLS is we will be carrying our own oxygen, we will be carrying our own water on board, because the crew stuff does not generate that thing through the electrolysis or the hydrolysis of water. We carry the sufficient amount. There is a calculated amount how much we have to carry, how much pressure we have to maintain, and the wastes that are generated, whatever it is,
Okay.
human waste or the perspiration, the sweat, and anything that is generated, that is, or the different waste that humans generate, everything will be simply vented out. They will be collected and vented out. So what NASA has done previously, even in their Apollo mission, when they have taken the astronauts on the moon, what they have done is they have carried with them the sufficient amount of oxygen, and they have generated water through the
Hmm.
fuel cell. Now, fuel cell is something that generates electricity and produces water as a waste. What USSR has done, Soviets have done in the past in their Soyuz cabin crew ECLSS, what they have done is they have generated chemically the oxygen but carried water with them. So ISRO will be playing with those possible technologies that we have, and we will be coming out with something that will be very efficient,
Okay.
as we are known for that.
Well, fingers crossed, we hope, and of course, a billion prayers with ISRO as we try and achieve that milestone. But Pranav, this has happened time and again with India. Each time we try and achieve something in our space exploration, there is somebody who is not very happy with it, who doesn't want to help. We've seen that in the past where countries have not shared, have refused to share technology with India this time around as well, with the ISRO chairperson saying that, we had discussions, but countries are refusing to share that technology with us, and therefore we're going ahead and building our own system. Uh, you know, this clearly reflecting that divide which still exists despite all the talks of the world going together and space exploration being a sector where countries need to come together, clearly reflecting the kind of divide and competition that the West feels from India.
I completely agree because the West is not able to digest the fact that the world has shifted from a bipolar world to a multipolar world. I mean, in the 60s, when the space age actually began, it was either US or Russia. And after that, there's several players have come in, and India has emerged as a major competitor, as a major country which can lead us into a new space millennium. And I mean, it's always safe to say that the West is not able to digest that. Absolutely not. Because our people are more efficient, it's cost effective, and they're more indigenous. They know to work around. There was a very interesting article in '82 when the very famous picture. You remember the satellite on a bullock cart was published by Washington Post. I think it was. Yeah, well, I mean.
This
So
is a
what
cartoon
the
that we're
particular
playing on the
gentleman had
screens
said
also.
was
Yeah.
that it's a very interesting. Oh yeah, so it's a very interesting feat for a country which uses its major mode of transportation as a bullock cart. Excuse me. Those are the kind of statements that were made. Now
Yeah.
those countries, from west to far east, every country wants to collaborate with India because we produce effective solutions. And you're right that the system has changed, but the countries who are used to holding that kind of power over technological advancement, over scientific IPs, are not able to digest the fact that here are these new people which know science which understood science much faster than we did. And that's what the entire motto of ISRO was, to leapfrog into progress, and we did. And past couple of years, and I think ISRO has set it, and another example in how wonderfully Indians can actually deliver things in very short span of time. And I know Dr. Somnath particularly well, and I know he's an extremely fine gentleman. And when he's saying that that we will develop the environmental control and life support system, I assure you that we will.
Yeah.
because ISRO has a legacy of getting things
Okay.
done. And this time, I assure you that we are not going to fail.
Okay, absolutely. Well,
I
Manish,
mean, amidst the
let me
midst
also
of the
then
Cold
ask you,
War, we were
we've
able to
been,
send out sounding rockets.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we have that trust, of course, in our space agency. Manish, quickly then let me also ask you, we've been talking about Gaganyaan and there's a lot of excitement about India's first manned mission, but help us understand what stage this particular mission might be at right now, if you have to simplify for our viewers. What is it that ISRO might be doing right now in that run up to the launch of Gaganyaan?
See, Gaganyaan mission is all about sending humans in space, and they will orbit around the Earth for a certain duration of time, and they have to come back. So, if we look at different stages, so first one is the launch vehicle. So we have done the human rating qualification of our launch vehicle, but we have not yet flown it. So there has to be a flight which will be a complete setup of LVM3 with the human rating. So the whole setup that has already been qualified for taking humans to the space has to take place, first thing. Before that, we have to get the complete understanding of the crew escape system and abort scenarios, because there are so many things that can go wrong. If you recall, recently we did one, yes, the one that is being shown on the screen, this particular test we have done recently, which was for the crew escape module. When if something goes wrong with the launch vehicle, so we'll just take the crew out of it and land them somewhere safely in the sea. But then still there are different modes of failure in this particular aspect of launch. So we have to test all those aspects. So qualifications have been done. Now we are in the testing phase. So we have to test different phases for the crew escape. There will be 3 to 4 more tests that will be done for the crew escape system. Then we have to test our launch vehicle. Our launch vehicle with our humanoid in it, because we'll be measuring different parameters when we are launching someone. Then what are the different parameters in the crew cabin? We were expecting that ECLSS will come from some of the friends in abroad, but then it didn't happen. So that has put up a big blank in the progress chart. So that has to be filled very fast, because without ECLSS we can't think of sending humans to the space. So Gaganyaan, the most crucial aspect of Gaganyaan right now is ECLSS, which supports which is a life support system for the astronauts. So on the part of launch vehicle, on the part of crew escape system, everything was well planned, expecting that ECLSS will come our way. But since right now ECLSS has to be developed by ISRO indigenously, so I think little on the back foot right now we are, because now we have to meet the deadlines. So we are on a little back foot because we have to get that ECLSS thing done, and it's not just simply doing it. It has to be developed, it has to be tested, it has to be qualified, it has to be taken to the orbit for the qualification, and then only humans can sit in it and go. So this is going to take time. So right now, I think right now in ISRO, overtime will be, scientists will be doing overtime, and they will be going extra, they will be putting in extra efforts to meet the deadline. But things have taken a little back foot because
And
of that
Manish,
ECLSS in. Yeah.
Manish, ISRO is also planning to launch female robot Vyommitra before sending the actual astronauts. How much of that actually helps? What happens during that stage? And are we going to build that life support system before we launch Vyommitra or after? Just simplify for us.
See, actually, Vyommitra, we are sending Vyommitra because we want to check the different aspects in the flight, what happens to the different scenarios like the pressure, the cabin pressure, the air quality, how the pressure drops, how the temperature scenario things happen, what are the vibration loads. Because if a human being is sitting in that particular chamber, and then when the launch vehicle is taking off, huge gravitational loads come in, because launch vehicle is accelerating at a very faster acceleration, and acceleration keeps on increasing. It goes to 456 g, means 456 times the acceleration due to gravity. So how those loads affect the whole scenario, how much robust the system is to sustain all those things. So previously different systems were checked by sending either a mice or some other animals. But India has taken a decision that we are not going to put any other animal or any other we are not going to put a guinea pig in it for the experimental process. Rather, we are going to put our Vyommitra humanoid, and we are going to measure all those critical aspects, all those critical values with the Vyommitra. And now, when we are talking about the critical values, then obviously that crew cabin has to have
Yeah.
its ECLSS in place, because then only we can measure all those particular values,
Okay.
like how much what is oxygen level in it, how much the air pressure it is, how good we are how good we are at handling the
All
thermal
right.
systems.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it there. Manish Purohit and Pranav Sharma, thank you very much to both of you for joining us tonight and sharing your perspective. Hopefully, we'll be able to overcome the challenges that we are facing in our space narrative and achieve the targets that we have set for ourselves. Thank you very much to both of you.